Hey y'all, welcome back, or welcome if you are new. My name is Sammy and welcome back to this week's What's for Dinner. If you hear a lot of roaring in the background, my AC is out, so all the fans are on and the windows are open right now since this is early morning on Sunday, the day that this video goes up. But I needed to do an intro, so that's why I'm here. But anywho, I hope you all enjoy all of these recipes. I do have one recipe that was for Father's Day. That was my husband's request. And then I have 5 other ones that are completely new to us. So all those recipes will be linked below in my description box. I hope you all will give them a try because they were all delicious. Pretty much all 10 out of 10s, except for I had one that was an 8 out of 10 because my oldest one didn't care too much for the texture of it. But other than that, they were absolutely delicious. And like I said, I hope y'all give them a try. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment below, and think about mashing that subscribe button and becoming part of my YouTube family. I would love to have y'all. But without further ado, let's get on into cooking, y'all. Come on, let's go. Okay, y'all, so right here was my husband's choice for Father's Day. I just did some baked salmon with Old Bay and butter. I creamed up some sweet potatoes right here because those were delicious with honey and butter. And then the baked asparagus and also some broiled shrimp, which I made an easy marinade for, but I'll leave that down below in the description box in case you ever want to use that recipe. It was delicious, and y'all, this whole meal was delicious. I absolutely love salmon. Let me know below if y'all do or nah. But anyways, let's get on to the next one, shall we? Hey y'all, this evening's dinner is going to be Philly cheesesteak sloppy joe sliders. Funny story is these are supposed to be actual sloppy joes, but Walmart substituted the slider rolls because you're supposed to have the brioche, just the regular hamburger buns. But they subbed me these, so we're going to turn them into sliders. So you'll need some brioche buns or whatever kind of hamburger buns you like, or slider rolls. You'll need Worcestershire sauce, mushrooms, an onion, seasonings of your choice. You'll need a little bit of butter, some ketchup, cornstarch. It says beef broth, but I only have beef consomme, so we're going to use that. Ground beef and Sargento or any kind of provolone cheese. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and brown up the hamburger and make sure you have lean. That way you ain't got to worry about draining it, but if you want other stuff, you can do that too. Okay, so here we're just going to start out by browning our onions with our ground beef. I'm just going to use my little meat masher here, get that all broken up, and just cook this until the onions are a little bit more softened. I don't want them, you know, kind of to turn into mush, but just enough. And then we'll go ahead and add in our seasonings. I'm going to use a nature seasoning and Cavender's in this. And then you'll just want to go ahead and mix that back up in there together, and then just add in the mushrooms right here. I did chop those up a little bit to make them and, you know, mix better into the meat and the onion mixture. So then we're just going to go ahead and stir this up. I did get rid of my little meat masher thing, and I've just got this little spurtle just to go ahead and kind of stir that up together. Because I didn't really need the meat masher anymore. But I'm going to go ahead and continue doing this, and then I will bring you back when it is done and put together. Okay, so now that that is browned, I did drain off a decent amount of that, but you want to leave a little bit to give this cornstarch something to grab onto. But I did drain most of it. Like I said, it was 93.7, so it didn't have much anyway, so I got rid of a little bit, but not a lot. So after you add your cornstarch in there, that's when you're going to go ahead and stir that together to kind of, you know, soak up everything and get it just a little bit thicker before you add in your beef consomme and all of that. Okay, so since I've added in that beef consomme, it has cooked down and you can see how it is thickened up that meat mixture. So now we're going to add in all the other good stuff. So just a little bit of ketchup, it does not take too much, and then some Worcestershire sauce. And you'll want to combine that together just to make sure all those flavors are mixed well. You don't want, you know, big old hunks. And I'm pretty sure this is where that sloppy joe part comes in, along with just the how you brown up the meat and everything instead of a typical, you know, Philly cheesesteak. But these were really good, y'all. You know, I highly recommend you try them. It's something different. And like I said, they were supposed to go on like their each individual hamburger bun, but Walmart had to substitute me, so I ended up getting slider buns right here. But that's all right, because it actually worked out pretty well, so I was very happy. So now you'll just go ahead and lay your sliced whatever cheese you want. Like I told y'all, I'm using provolone here. It did say you could use mozzarella in the recipe, and I will have all the original recipes linked down below for your reference. That way you'll have it to print out like I did. But yeah, I was going to put 4 slices down, but I was like, let's make it even. I did 3 on the bottom, and then after I put the meat mixture down here in just a second, I covered it with cheese again and then put the tops on, and I went ahead and topped those with butter and a little bit of Badia Complete, and then I put them in the oven to bake to where they get all nice and melty and a little bit crispy on the bottom and the top. And I think that's why I like sliders so much, because you get the, you know, the softness from the inside of it, but then the tops get just a little bit crispier, and it's just like a party in your mouth. But like I said before, these were really good, and I hope y'all give these a try. So these go into a 350-degree oven, excuse me, for about anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. It depends on how your oven cooks. I think mine were in there for right at about 18 minutes. And like I said, they were crispy on the top and the bottom. And these things were so good, y'all. As a matter of fact, let me jump back on here. I would give these about an 8 out of 10. My kids kind of have like a texture issue, so they said the filling was a little bit softer than what they would like. But anyways, an 8 out of 10 ain't bad. If you're looking for something different, please give this one a try. Hey friends, this evening's dinner is going to be sort of my version of a sheet pan meal, but it's garlic butter, chicken, green beans, and potatoes. It's like they call it one pot, but I think you're supposed to put it in like just a baking dish or a sheet pan. But anyways, I've got chicken thighs, I've got some taters here I need to cube up. Of course, you will need some garlic, parsley, and butter, and then some frozen green beans or fresh green beans, whichever one you have on hand. I always try to keep these frozen ones in the deep freeze. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get this chicken cleaned up, get some of that extra fat off, get my potatoes sliced up, and then I'll bring you back and show you how we put it all together. Okay, so this one couldn't be any simpler. You're gonna put it all on a sheet pan, and right here, because I have so much food, there is 2 sticks of butter here. You do not have to use that much, but you got to remember potatoes are going to soak that up. So I mixed 2 sticks of butter melted, and then a big huge helping of the garlic. And the recipe, the original recipe, called for Campbell's garlic butter some kind of a cooking pouch or something like that. I couldn't find that anywhere, so I don't know where they have found that out, but I just made my own little garlic butter mixture right here. I put some lightly dried basil in there, or no, that's parsley, not basil. Basil wouldn't go very well in there. So there's butter, garlic, parsley, and then here I am adding some Cavenders to the mixture and some Badia Complete. I'm just going to go ahead and stir all this together, and that is what you're going to pour over top of your chicken thighs, your potatoes, and your green beans. I'm going to tell y'all what, this was a solid 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. So now you'll just go ahead and get your sheet pan, and you'll want to start laying out your potatoes and your green beans. I did use the frozen bagged green beans, as y'all saw in the intro to this recipe, but I just tried to get my potatoes down, and there was no way that I was going to get everything to fit on one sheet pan, and you'll see that here in a minute, but that's all right. So I put the potatoes and the green beans on this sheet pan here, and I wanted to remind y'all I did dice up my potatoes just a little bit smaller so they would cook in the time frame to where the chicken wouldn't be overcooked. So this was a 30-minute meal, y'all, and you know, as a working mama, or if you're just in a busy stage of life right now, wherever you're at, this would be a good recipe. It's hearty, it's filling, but yet it's simple. So you do dice your potatoes up just a little bit smaller than normal, so they will cook in that time frame. But here I just laid the green beans. They are frozen. I'm just trying to get them in an even layer too. I'm going to season everything here with some Badia Complete. And on those potatoes, y'all, I just threw some of that sour cream and onion seasoning that I have in my pantry. I'm almost out of that. I really need to make a trip to the Cheese and More store to get some more of that because it is so good. Alright, so now that I've got all of that stuff seasoned, I'm just stirring my garlic butter again, and I'm just going to drizzle all of this, not all of it, but part of it, all over my taters and green beans here, just to make sure I get an even, you know, an even drizzle, if you per se. But that's what I'm going to do here, and then I'll do the chicken here in just a second. Alright, y'all, here's everything all seasoned up. And like I said, it's going to go into a 350 to 375 degree oven for about 30 minutes, depending on how done you like your taters. But I'm telling y'all what, this was so good. And I would also give this one a 10 out of 10. So if you're looking for an easy sheet pan meal, this is your ticket. Give it a try, y'all. Hey friends, tonight's dinner is going to be a beef and bacon gnocchi skillet. So what you'll need for this is, of course, seasonings of your choice, and y'all know I'm going to use Cavenders and Badia Complete and probably some Nature's, we'll see. But I got a pound of 80-20 ground beef. I got some heavy whipping cream. This just has a little bit in it, so we'll probably have to use some of that too. You'll need a package of gnocchi. It says half of a large onion, which pretty much what I have. I'm going to use the rest of it. And it says 8 bacon strips, but I'm going to cheat so I don't have to sit here frying the bacon. But I'm going to go ahead and just use the fully cooked bacon pieces, some ketchup and sharp cheddar cheese, and then on to top it when you're done after you bake it in the oven, you'll need green onions and tomatoes to sprinkle on top. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and get this ground beef and onion frying up. Alright, so I have a pot of water here. We need to cook these first, and it says to cook them 2 to 3 minutes, just until everything floats to the top. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. I'm going to open this up, get those to boiling while I brown up my beef and onions here in my cast iron. Alright, so I've got my burger here in the cast iron skillet. I'm just going to go ahead and break that apart, but I also need to get my seasonings out, and y'all know I'm going to get the Padilla, and I'm pretty sure that I used Cavender's in this one. It's such a good combination. Typically, I might add in some nature seasoning as well, but I'm pretty sure I just stuck with these two because you do have all the flavors from all the other ingredients. And then here I'm just going to go and add in that chopped onion. I just did a regular dice on that one, just enough to where you get that good flavor, and you'll just want to go ahead and mix all of that into the ground beef and get that cooking. And as soon as this is browned up, I will bring you back and show you the next step. Okay, so we got everything browned up. That is when you're going to want to add in your bacon. You can either do what I did and use this entire package. I believe it was the smaller package, like the 3 or 4 ounces of bacon. But the recipe called for about 8 strips of cooked bacon. So you choose however you want to do it. I just chose to make it a little bit simpler for me since it was after work. But here I'm just going to go ahead and add in the drained gnocchi pasta. I love that stuff. It's so good. Let me know in the comments below if y'all have ever had gnocchi and what your opinions are on it. But I'm just making sure I get all of this added in, and then we'll stir everything together. But I did want to mention real quick that y'all did see me add in about a cup of that pasta water where I cooked the gnocchi. It does have the starch, so it'll help thicken it up too. That is a great tip if you ever need to thin something out but not keep it super, you know, runny. So I went ahead and added in that pasta water, some of the ketchup. I did add a little bit of that heavy whipping cream that is not in the recipe, but I felt like it needed it, so I added it. And then some more seasonings on top, y'all. I think it was just black pepper though. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and stir this all together and get that to cooking and simmering down. And then once it cooks for a little bit, we're going to come back and we're going to add some cheese on the top. We're going to bake it in a 350-degree oven for 20 to 30 minutes, just until that cheese is nice and melted and, you know, bubbly and a little bit browned on top, because I like my cheese a little bit crispy. But anyways, y'all, I'll bring you back to show you the finished dish. Alright, so here it is, hot and fresh out of the oven, and I'm going to tell y'all, there was no leftovers on this night. My boys, I gobbled this up. They went back for seconds and thirds. They said that this is probably one of their favorites, so this is definitely a 10 out of 10. And like I said, all the recipes will be linked below. But we just topped it with some extra bacon, some green onions, and some fresh diced tomatoes, and that was dinner this night. Hey y'all, tonight's dinner is Caprese balsamic chicken. So we'll see. I have some brown sugar and of course seasonings of your choice, but I've got Cavender's and nature seasoning. You will need some balsamic vinegar, some olive oil, tomato, basil, garlic, some chicken. I got the better than bouillon here because you need to have a cup of chicken broth, so I just have this kind. I'll make my own. And of course, thin sliced chicken breasts, unless you want to sit and pound them out, like cut them in half and then pound them out. And then provolone cheese. It called for mozzarella, but I could not find sliced mozzarella, so we're going to use provolone. And it said basil leaves, but I think this works better. It's the lightly dried basil, which to me, that's my favorite anyways. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start this. Go put some olive oil in the pan and start getting this chicken and the sauce combined. Alright y'all, so to start this dish off, you'll just want to get a skillet out and put some olive oil in the bottom of it and let that get good and hot. And then you'll go ahead and fry up all your chicken until it's just browned on both sides. You don't want to cook it all the way through because it's got to simmer in the sauce. So you don't want your chicken to be overcooked, and we all know that chicken breasts tend to get overcooked pretty quickly. So I just seasoned both sides of my chicken breast right here, and I'm going to go ahead and cook those up until they're browned on both sides, and then we're going to take them out, and that's when we'll start that sauce. Alright y'all, so we have all that chicken fried up now, and this is where I'm going to take my chicken broth that I made because I didn't have any, on hand. So I did just go ahead and mix some up. You'll want to pour that in the pan and deglaze it. I had to double this recipe because of the amount of chicken that I had, but that's alright. So you just want to make sure you scrape all that goodness off the bottom of that pan. And then we're going to add in the brown sugar, the balsamic vinegar, and the garlic. And we're just going to let that cook for a little bit, let those flavors combine. We'll add our chicken back into it, let that cook for 10 minutes or until the chicken reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees. We will take that out and let that sauce cook on down to where we have a balsamic glaze reduction. So that's what we're going to do here, y'all. Okay, so now right here I'm going to show you a little trick that I do with my parchment paper. Anytime I get ready to use a sheet pan and I have to lay parchment paper down, instead of sitting there struggling with it, if you take your piece out that you're going to need for your sheet pan, you crinkle it up a little bit. That way it makes it easier to fit down into your sheet pan and you don't have to struggle with it. I just kind of crinkled it up and then I put it in my sheet pan and kind of went through the sides on it, and that's it. It is going to puff up a little bit, but that's fine, but it does fit down in there better. So always make sure you spray your parchment paper. I know that's kind of contradictory, or is it? But I do it. So I went ahead and sprayed that. I'm going to move that over to the side real quick so I can go ahead and slice up this tomato. The recipe called for Roma tomatoes, but mine, the two that I had for this recipe, I don't know what it is with produce anymore, but they had already started going bad and I could not save them. I thought that I could, but I couldn't. So anyways, I'm glad I had this slicing tomato here. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I did cut them on the thinner side. I didn't want, thicker hunks of tomato. But I did cut up some thin slices on it so I could put it on top of the chicken and everything. But y'all see that here in a minute. Alright y'all, so I have my sheet pan here ready. I brought my chicken, my pan of chicken over closer to where you can take that chicken out now that it's cooked all the way through. I'll just go ahead and lay all of this out, top it with the cheese, and then put it in the broiler and let that cheese melt first and let it get a little bit browned. Then we'll take that back out of the oven, top it with the basil and the tomatoes, put it back in the broiler, let those tomatoes get warm through, and then y'all, we'll be ready to eat. And oh my gosh, this was, oh, it was so amazing. My husband actually said that I had outdone myself on this recipe. It has become one of his favorite recipes, I should say. But after I had this assembled, I just went ahead and served it with some of the steamable green beans. I did cook those in the microwave first, and then I just sauteed them in a pan with some butter and garlic, and I made some mashed potatoes to go with it. And y'all, it was absolutely delicious. But y'all see that here in a minute. Okay, so here's the chicken. It's all finished now. I did leave tomatoes off of 2 because I didn't know if my oldest one would eat it that way. But y'all, he ended up trying a piece with tomato on top and he really, really liked it. So if y'all are looking for another delicious dinner idea, definitely try this one. Here is that balsamic glaze after it had reduced down. That is what you'll drizzle over top of the chicken or whatever else you want it on, because that sauce is addicting. But anyways, this was absolutely delicious. It's a must try. So this evening's dinner is 1 pot pesto chicken tortellini, and you'll have to have sun-dried tomatoes, the 3 cheese tortellini, some olive oil, some pesto, Italian seasoning, paprika, and then seasoning of your choice, but y'all know I'm going to go with Cavender's. Of course, a lot of garlic, some basil, and then some chicken. I've got to just cut this up into cubes, so I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and then we're going to toss it together with the paprika, Italian seasoning, and the Cavender's. Alright, also here we have our Italian seasoning, our paprika, the Cavender's, and black pepper and salt. And that's what we're just going to go ahead and mix all together, because we're going to add our chicken into it. Mix that around to where all of the pieces get coated evenly. And yes, I'm using my hands. It's the best tools God gave you. I do wash them, I promise you that, but it would be very, very boring if every YouTuber showed you washing their hands. But I promise y'all, I wash my hands. I don't be needing no sickness up in this house. No, no, no. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and mix all that together with, what was I saying? I'm going to go ahead and mix all that together very well, and then we'll add in some flour to just kind of coat the chicken, and that's when we'll go ahead and fry that up in a skillet and get that completely cooked through, and we'll start adding in all the yumminess. Alright y'all, so in this saucepan, not a saucepan, it's a 10-quart pot. I'm just going to add a little bit of the olive oil here, but this is where you could use the oil from the sun-dried tomatoes. The ones I had was not packaged in oil, so I couldn't use it. So I just used straight up olive oil and a little bit of butter. And then whenever that melts is when you'll go ahead and add in your chicken and cook it through all the way. Kind of get it like a nice and golden brown texture, or not texture, color. And then you'll start adding in everything else, and I'm gonna tell y'all, this was absolutely delicious. I know that I've said that through all these recipes because they were all delicious and they were all definitely must try. So if you think your family's gonna eat those, I highly suggest all of these. But anywho, let's go ahead and brown up this chicken and add in everything, and y'all just follow right along with me. Okay, so we have the chicken cooked up. Now we're going to go ahead and add in the sun-dried tomatoes. I did use this whole pack. I think it was a 3.5 ounce pack. I think the ones you can get in the oil might have a little bit more in it, but these worked just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and stir those together. That way they can start working on, like, I guess plumping up a little bit more, if you want to say. But I absolutely love sun-dried tomatoes. Y'all already know that. And so does my oldest one. But he has a harder time eating fresh tomatoes. It's weird, I know, but it is what it is. But I'm going to go ahead and just start adding in the pesto and stirring that together, and then we'll add in the cooked tortellini. And all I did was cook the tortellini per package directions. And after I stirred all of this together, that's when we added in the tortellini, stirred it together, and let that set a little bit. And y'all, I did add in some heavy whipping cream because I thought it needed that creamy element, and I was 100% right. You do not have to put this in there. Like I said, the original recipe will be in my description box below. This is just our personal preference, and it was a good personal preference. It worked out pretty good. It was very, very good. It was delicious. This is another 10 out of 10. Definitely, I would recommend it. Alright, y'all, that is it for this week's What's for Dinner. I really hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment below, and think about becoming a part of my YouTube family. Until next time, you all, God bless. Bye.